Okay, we are recording. All right, so what we have here is a Google spreadsheet, and I'm trying to zoom in. There we go. Now, Google Sheets, like I said before, is a little limited. There are some pretty cool extensions that you can download for it, but for our purpose, we're only going to learn some basic formulas and basic functions of this program. So here we go. So let's say we have a class. Okay, so let's just set up a class. So we can call this maybe students. Okay. Just to be very basic, columns go straight up and down, rows go side by side. How do you remember that? Columns are like the Greek columns, the Roman columns, they go up and down, right? So always just remember that, because sometimes whenever you want to erase something or delete something, delete a column, delete a row, you're going to be in real bad trouble whenever you delete the wrong thing. So we're going to create a column of students. So we'll just kind of rate some students here. Sam, Rose, Benny, Kid, Frank, Francis, it's his twin brother, Todd, Kelly with an I, Brandon, and Walt. Okay, so I just did 10 kids, okay, here. I just put 10 kids down. Of course, you're going to have last names with your kids, but this is just for the purpose of working with data. So we're going to create a little bit of a spreadsheet for grades. We want to know how they're doing in class. So, okay, we've had one homework assignment, so we'll just call it homework 1, okay, in the column homework 1. Oh, let's just say it's out of 100 points, just for the sake of being easy here. Sam did pretty well, and we're just going to put in some random numbers here. Frank didn't do well. Francis is the smarter brother, so he did pretty well. 33, Todd. Kelly turned it in with her name wrong, so she got a 2. Brandon got 100. And so just plug in some random numbers. Try to vary them so that you can see how the data gets manipulated. Now let me show you another trick in Excel. So let's do homework 2. All right. Homework 2 was spell your name. That was the question. So everybody got 100. Everyone did well. So instead of typing 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, right? You see how it is glowing blue, and there's this tiny little square down here. You see it? Hover over the tiny square. You're going to get either the hand. You don't want the hand. You want the cross. Do you see it? How it turns into a cross? Click and drag. It's autofill. Okay? So that's a very basic function in Excel. You can also make it to do lists. This isn't part of the grade sheet, but let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you want it to continue, there's a function where you can drag it and create 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's in the options section, but we're not going to deal with that right now. But know that that is there. Okay? So homework 2, everyone did pretty well. All right, so let's create a homework 3. So let's put some random things in there. Sam's pretty good. Uh-oh, Kelly got a 0 again. Oh, no. All right. All right, so that's all the homework assignments. So let's say, okay, well, we've given some tests. So maybe we do test 1. And we put in some numbers. Okay. Okay. Let's do another test. I want this to be as realistic as possible. That's why we're putting in a bunch of numbers. Walt, man, he really set the curve on this one. He did a good job. And let's do another test. Sam hasn't been studying lately. And Kelly did very well this time. She got a tutor. All right. So just a couple aesthetic things here. If you want to add like bold, and you want to bold the entire top row, all you would do would just click the 1 over here on the side to select the entire row. And then you would do Command or Control, Mac Command, PC Control, Control B for bold. Turns it bold. It looks nice and colorful, right? If you look up here at the top, we have several options. We can change the text as far as the type. Arial is the default at 10. We can change the size. Maybe we make this a little bit bigger. We can make different colors. This is an important one. You'll use this a lot. So alignment, left, middle, or right. Sometimes I like to center things. And then this is vertical alignment. So if you're in the cell, if you're in the big cell, sometimes stuff goes down at the bottom, sometimes it's in the middle, sometimes at the top. And you want to make sure your cells are aligned properly, but we won't really have that problem here in this simple gradebook. Now, if you want all of your cells selected, you go over here in this little dead spot. There's nothing here between the A and the I, or the A and the 1 rather. All you have to do is click that, and that's a select all, the whole spreadsheet. And you can go from there. You can say, okay, well, I want everything aligned to the middle, and everything gets aligned to the middle. But I don't want my students aligned to the middle, so I'll just hit A, and we'll align them left. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Pretty basic stuff here. Okay? All right. Next, we're going to work with averages. This gets a little more complex now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select another cell. In this cell, I'm going to create a sub-average. I'm going to average all of the homework, not the tests, okay? Because I want to see how Sam's doing in the homework and my other students are doing in the homework. So let's just call this homework av. You can get fancier with the names, but you don't need to. So we hit return and we go down to the next cell here, and this is where we're going to write, Mackenzie, hold your ears on this one, an argument, a function. I told Mackenzie to hold her ears because the other Mackenzie, the back row Mackenzie, to hold her ears because we talk argument all the time. But this is going to be a function for average. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit equals. So what we're doing in this situation is we're telling, okay, cell H2 to H, that you now, we're going to designate you something. We're going to designate you as equal to something. So we're inserting a value. Now, the nice thing about Google Sheets is that it's going to give you some suggestions. It's kind of user-proofed itself over the years, and it's already suggesting that maybe you want the average of the entire row. And in some cases, I might. But we're not going to use those because we want to be one step ahead of the machine. Okay? We don't want to rely on the machine to solve our problems. But we're only taking homework average. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit equals, and we're going to begin typing capital AV, and then it's going to give us several options here. Okay? We are going to type, or we're going to select average down here. We don't want the suggestion because it's the whole row. So it's average, and then it's going to give us a parenthesis. So we're going to ask ourselves, what do we want to average? Well, we want to average cells B2, C2, and D2, right? So you can do one of two ways. You can go B2 colon D2. That's the old-fashioned way of doing it. Or you can go over and say these ones. Just drag, click and drag which ones you want. Now the colon means B2 through D2 and including D2. So we might write it as a dash, just in our language, not computer language. So it's going to take the average of B2, C2, and D2. We will close our parenthesis and hit enter. Now it has given us an average. Now in Excel, it might not do this because, again, like I said, Google Sheets is being very nice to us nowadays. You see the suggestion it just gave me? We're going to ignore that because I don't want you to get lazy. So we're going to hit X. Sometimes, well, I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so here we are with our 100. Sam got 100. Well, whatever function is living, whatever formula is living, up here, you see we have H2 selected. This is our function up in the function query. Now, we can take our little cell, go to our little box, and we're going to get the cross again. We're going to click and drag down. That will give us the averages for all of the other columns. Any questions? Yes.
After you close the parenthesis, what do you do?
Hit enter. Hit return.
Saying NA.
That's because you're missing something. And let me show you when that happens. So let's say I have average. I clicked average, or actually, I mistype. It's going to give me an error. So you're either missing a parenthesis, you either have one too many parentheses, not enough parentheses, or not enough cells to average. I'll look at what you have.
It was spelled wrong.
It was spelled wrong. So the computer will always be right. So keep that in mind. If it comes out as an error, you did something. The computer didn't, all right? Now, these are ugly, aren't they? So what we're going to do, we'll just select them all. And we'll come up here to format our data. Again, it's different from Excel. I'm an Excel guy. I don't use, in the past, I haven't used this a lot, so you have to excuse me. So let's go to Format, Number. And this is going to give us a lot of different options. For our purposes, we're going to hit %. It's going to make it a %, but look, it's not what we want, right? So we're going to go back to Format. We're going to go to Number. We're going to go to Custom Number, or it's also listed down here, a % to the, oh, no, never mind. Number, custom number, and we want a percent that looks a lot nicer, and that's really what I want, so I don't know what's happening. So let's hit apply. What's happening?
It's gonna multiply them by 100.
Yeah, I don't know why it is.
It's just like the way that it works. So like if
I don't accept that.
so it says percentage formats, multiply the cell value by 100 and display the result with a percent.
Yeah, I don't like that. So we could just go back to that, but it shouldn't have done that. I've done this 100 times.
You just go to just click 0.
Say that again?
And so just click 0. Like so go to format and then number,
Yeah.
and format number and format it to 0. Because you get a whole number out of that.
It's a
Oh.
custom number.
Okay. I see what's happening.
And then just click 0.
So right here.
Yeah, and then hit apply.
And then we want, okay. So do you see how difficult sometimes this could be?
If you also want percentage, it's gonna put it back, so go
Yeah.
back to the format
Mm-hmm.
and go to custom numbers again.
Thank you.
And go all the way to the bottom, go to custom numbers.
I normally don't do custom
Go to
numbers.
0,
0%.
and then you can scroll down and just get the percentage without decimals if you want. If you just go to,
Like that?
yeah, and see the, yeah.
Huh. I don't know.
Then it puts it in, yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't usually do that. I don't know what happened. So for our purpose, we'll just stick with what we got here. All right. You don't need percents, so we'll move on. All right, so let's just do the same thing with the test average. So we'll call this test average. Now, another way you can do it, this is the hard way around. You can go equal. You can go E. Well, let me add my parenthesis here. Equal, parenthesis, whoops, E plus E2 plus F2 plus G2, parenthesis, divided by 3. I don't know why you would want to do that, but it's also going to give you an average. That's why we have functions, so that we don't have to go the long way around things, right? So if we can drag it, or what I just did was on the X, like when it creates an X, you double click on it. It'll also do the same thing as the drag, the flash fill. Okay, and then go up to format. And if you want to make it pretty, a little prettier than this.
Do you not put average in the, like average?
No, you can. I was just showing you the long way around. So you would go equal average, parentheses, and then you would drag test 1, test 2, test 3, close parenthesis, enter. And then select that one again, double click for flash fill. Remember I said earlier that there's a million ways around doing things? Well, you can do them, like I said, a million ways, but doesn't mean it's easier. Any questions? We're all right so far? All right, so what we have here is we have two columns that have averages of some of the subcategories that we have. So let's just say we want a overall average. So I'm going to say total average. And we want an overall average of all of the grades. So this is my Sam and everybody else's overall average. So we're just simply do equals average, parenthesis, and then select homework and tests, or to build a relationship. To build a continued grade book, you want to do it this way, or really you could just take the average of the two subcategories. But let's just take the average of the of this section here. So clear around, clear down. Homework 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3. Close your parenthesis. Enter. And there we go. If you want to clean it up, go ahead, clean it up. So there's our class scores. Okay? Now, what if this is where it gets hard? What if you want to designate these scores a letter grade? Everybody good? Please stop me and ask me if you need help, okay? Or if I'm going too fast. So, we have another feature in a spreadsheet. We have two features, and don't confuse them. We have something called Vlookup, and we have something called lookup. Vlookup stands for vertical lookup. It's basically looking into a directory of information on a vertical basis, okay? A lookup is you're going to look at a directory of information from a designated spot on the spreadsheet. So it's not necessarily, it could be anywhere. So what we're going to be doing is setting up grade designations using a lookup feature, okay? Fun, huh? Yeah. Maybe I should have showed you a couple more easier things, but we'll go from there. All right, so just somewhere, click somewhere, and we're going to create a key. It's going to be like a key on a map, and it's going to. Now don't laugh at me when I screw this up, okay? Because this is one of those things that you'll fail like the first 3 times trying it. So here we go. So we're going to create a key, and we're going to say, okay, I created one. Let me see. Okay. So we're going to create a grading scale. So a 0 is the lowest F that you can get. Okay? What's the lowest D you want? You want it to be 60? Okay. 60 is the lowest D you can get, and so on. So 70 is the lowest C. 80 is the lowest B. 90 is the lowest A. All right, so this is our grading scale. What we're going to do is we're going to tell the spreadsheet to look in this cell for the value down here and then determine the letter grade. So here we go. We'll click on the cell where we want the grade to be. We're going to equal look up. Not look up like in the ceiling, but look up. Bad dad joke. All right. We're essentially going to be going from here to here. But we might have to do something to these numbers first. Let me double check my formula because I did it before class. Hold on. No, I don't want it to see. Hold on. I'm sorry. So I didn't want to look like a complete bozo. Yeah, okay. All right. So we're going to, like I said, equal, look up. First, we're going to tell the machine, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead, so you can get rid of the box down here. So look up, parenthesis. First, we're going to tell them, ask the machine, where is the information coming from? So the grade. So you see this 88. This is the column where the data is going to be. So we're going to click that cell, and it's given us J2. Then we're going to go comma, go down here to the grading scale, select it, but we need to edit this first because this is what we're going to call an absolute condition, meaning that no matter where we are, the location of this information is absolute. So we're going to take our cursor, we're going to go up here to B, right after B, or right before B actually, I'm sorry. Told you this is hard. We're going to type a $sign, move over 1, after B, a $sign, in front of C, a $sign, in front of 20, a $sign, close the parenthesis, and hopefully we have a letter grade. We do. I can't believe it worked on the first chance, the first try. Okay, so if you have error or REV, something was typed in wrong. So you have equals, look up, parenthesis, you'll have this cell, comma, that cell dragged over, and then put in your $signs before each variable, close parenthesis, and you're done. You probably missed a comma.
Yeah. A couple of them I would say
Okay, that's because, well, it depends what your numbers look like. Did you put your $signs in there?
Well, I just put
Show me your formula on grade on B. Okay, this is a common error too. Your $signs, you didn't put enough $signs before the number too.
Oh, okay, I missed something. I don't know.
So
before every number?
G, okay, B 16 and C 20. Now, I'm glad you did that because let's see what happens when you don't put $signs. You make the letter. You make the letter. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry. I lost it. Absolute, but not the number. Watch this. So, if you make the letter absolute, but they're not the number, not enough dollar signs, then this, it might not happen to mine, but we'll see. Yeah, okay? Because the computer doesn't really know, in computer language, this is called a float. And basically what a float is, it's a number that's different than the parameters that you allowed for. Like decimals are floats in computer language. So you need to make sure that every single one of those things is absolute before it'll take it. Okay? Any questions, comments, crises? Pretty cool stuff, huh? Okay. We're not done. Yeah, I know. So this is what we're looking at here is a basic gradebook. Okay? So whenever you have EdTPA, modified EdTPA, you're going to have something like this. And you're going to have to, in EdTPA, be able to compare a pre-test and a post-test, show growth, like compare the growth of the two, right? And you're also going to have to show the success of the class compared to one student's success. That's primarily what you're going to do in the EdTPA, all right? What I'm going to show you now is how you do that, all right? Which, again, thank you to Google Sheets, makes it a little easier than it used to be. So here we are, we have the whole class, the whole gang's here, this is their stuff and their grades. So what we want to do, we want to say, okay, we want to show average between, or we're going to show growth between, let's pretend homework 1 is a pre-test and homework 2 is a post-test. No, let's do test 2 is a pre-test. This is going to give me better numbers. So you pick 2 that'll give you good numbers to compare, okay? So I'm going to say test 2 and test 3 are my pre and post. I'm actually going to change their names. So pre and post. All right. So I need to show growth. You can do this very easily. Select without your headers, your titles, and you're going to go to this little picture over here that says Insert Chart. And Google Sheets is going to suggest some charts for you because it thinks it knows what you want to do. That is an awful chart, Google Sheets. I don't like that one, Google Sheets. So I'm going to pick one of these. Maybe this one, okay? But what is this telling me? This isn't telling me anything. It's all one color, right? So this is when you're going to have to play around with these options here. Use row 1 as headers. Let's take that off. Use column F as labels. Column F, let's take that off. Now look what happened. We have a pre-test in blue, a post-test in red. This is an excellent way to show student by student their individual growth. You can double click the colors up here in the key and you can add labels like I just did. You can edit the title.
How did you get to editing the chart?
The colors, you just click on the color, double click, and it'll come over here. It'll say text label. You can, of course, change all the colors if you want, if you really want to get down to it, but it's not really necessary. You can, of course, make it big or small or whatever. You can also then take this, Control C. If you would like to, you can create a new page and just, whoops, I didn't get it. Or Control X. Why won't it come? You could do it on Word. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Okay, you can download it. Copy. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. And you can copy it into a new page on a document or whatever, just to keep it nice if you like. All right. So we can get rid of that since we put it on the other page. So let's say we want to show, yes. Sorry, Marshawn. That's okay. Let's take a break and let it soak in. Well, it's your data. So this is what your data looks like. Whatever you selected. So there's no really variation in the scores. Well, your scores might not be the same as mine. So delete this. Just click on it and hit delete. And see which ones you. Now hit backspace. Whoop.
Unclick use
Come on, there you go.
or F or whatever. It is the last box.
Here, Control Z. Okay, there it goes. See, you have no variance.
Yeah.
Now you'll see what happened is you copied all these from over there onto there. Whenever you select, don't go to the little box. Just do it like you already know. Yeah, no little box. See, now it's going to select it. And then you're going to insert chart. It's just good of the type of chart. Should have been set up. Should have been at the top. Oh, there you go. There you go. Now you should be seeing it. That's awesome. Now if you come down here, get down a little bit. You want to get rid of all that. See? Now you're looking good. Anybody else?
I don't know what happened.
What
I
happened?
don't know how to change the.
Right there. You double click. Anybody else? We good? Okay. Now, the other task for EdTPA is that we need to compare how our focus student did, let's say in growth, compared to the rest of the class. Well, that means we need to lump the rest of the class into an average themselves. So, we can do it one of two ways. Let's just do it the easier way. Let's stick our, we'll stick with the same assessment. So the pre and post. So we're going to go create a new subsection. We'll call it class pre-average, and then class post average, and then, so we'll go equals, and we'll just make an average. You know how to do this. We're going to select all of them except for our focus student. Let's say Walt is our focus student. Close parenthesis. So that's the average of the class on the pretest.
Can you do that again?
Yep. So this is just simple. I'll do it here. Equals, average, parenthesis. Now post, I'm going to select all of the ones except for Walt. Close parenthesis, enter. That's my average for the post assessment. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and just select somewhere, and we're going to, well, first we have to highlight. So we can highlight those four, hit and hold, like release, hold the command or control button. While you're holding it, select Walt, whoop, wrong one, pre, slide over the post. Now, you have all this selected, you're going to create a chart which shows us, this is, make sure our colors are right here. So Walt had 100 on the pretest, so this is Walt, okay? So we can label these focus, student, pre, focus, student, post.
How did you get different colors on your graph? Do you have to have a focus student?
Yes. How did I get the different colors?
Yeah.
Because there's 4 different pieces of data. You can of course, in the setup, you can change the colors. You see where these are listed? This is the data that you selected. So let's say, I'm going to get rid of this real quick, and let's say I didn't, whoops. Let's say I accidentally forgot to select Walt, and I just selected these two, and I'm going to create a chart. Okay, well, that doesn't tell me much. That just tells me the difference between the two, the pre and post for the class average, right? So if I go here to series in the setup, and I can move this somewhere where I can find Walt on a bigger screen here. If I add series, I can just add it after the fact. So select, whoops, add series, click this little thing here, and it's going to say select range. I'll select range, select Walt, select there, and add series again. You see the first way I showed you was a little bit quicker. So there we have Walt. You can change the colors if you'd like. Just click on the bar, it'll bring up the color. Okay, make that one teal. Click the colors up here to edit your names. Any questions on that? Again, you can just copy it, send it to another sheet or your Word document that you have open for EdTPA, just to keep things nice and pretty. You can label them, like this one has a title, this one doesn't, but you can create one in the setup feature. Okay? Questions? Yeah. For the other kid? So you can, from now, if you have agile abilities on your trackpad, so you select these two. Drag, okay, now you're gonna hit hold control and select your other two while you're holding control. Okay, now you do it. See? Good. Yep. It's easier if you have a mouse sometimes. Go up, as in like, I'll show growth, like a line. It is a feature somewhere here. Customize maybe. I don't do that too often, to be honest. There is, usually it's suggested.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know why you lost me a little bit.
What do we got? Okay, we're, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So, you can, go down the series. You want to add series. Now click here, the little cell picture, that's where you would either type it or select it.
Okay.
You can only do one at a time with that. See? Got it? Anybody else?
So, when you change these colors, how do you change these to match?
Click on it.
So, try and there's no, so just a text color, there's no like box color.
What's that auto? What is that?
Um,
They're below it.
oh, this is for the text color.
Okay. I don't know. Some of the colors. Go up. Go to series.
This,
That's the flip color.
oh wait, oh.
Did it work?
This, yeah, it's just three colors, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't really mess with color too much. I'm a bland kind of guy, so I don't do that often. Anybody else? I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'll quit bugging you today because this was a lot. If your brain doesn't hurt right now, you weren't following along. So let me take a drink real quick and we'll get situated. Hopefully this recorded, so that if you ever need it again, we'll have it. Oh. Here's another situation. This is an easy one too. This isn't the one extra thing I was going to show you. So in your field experience and your student teaching, you may not have a situation where you have lots of numbers, right? So let's just say instead of numbers, you're collecting just grades. And you want to say, okay, my class, I'm going to create a whole new sheet for this. My class, out of 20, so let's just do, you don't have to do this. You could just watch, if you want. I'm not going to ask you to turn this in or anything. So let's say I have a pre and a post, okay? And I just say letter grades. right? A, B, B, C, D, F, F, F. Okay. And then I want to say, okay, I'm going to show a graph of A's. How many A's did I get? So I would, there's a formula. Sorry, I just thought of this, and forgive me if I don't get it right the first time. It's called Countif. I spelled it wrong. Untif. It's called Countif. Hold on. That's not it. I shouldn't be winging this. I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Countif. I forgot my search area. Okay, there we go. So the formula is Countif. So you go equal Countif, parentheses, your search area. So this whole list of things here, right? And then you just say, comma, how many A's? So you go quote A, quote. So you're looking for exact A, right? And then hit enter, and then it tells me I have 5 A's. So if I do the same thing over here, equal count if, parenthesis, search area, comma, quotation B, quotation, end parenthesis, I have 2 B's. Isn't that cool? Okay? This is a good thing to do if you just want to show how many A's, how many B's, how many C's on a chart. Because then you can go take your chart or take your data that you produced from your 5 A's, 2 B's, highlight it, and throw in a chart and be able to show that. So you might find yourself doing that. Okay? That's called Countif. And I actually did last year I did a YouTube video on Countif on my channel. So if you ever wanted to check out Countif, I do a heck of a lot better job there than I did here. Of course, that might be up for debate too. So I'm going to show you one more thing. And this is going back to our old gradebook here. And this is wizard status. Okay, not God status like some people in here are Excel gods. But this is wizard status. So this is called, that's right, we're going to go insert pivot table. So if you go insert pivot table, well, you need to select your range, right? So you want to know what you're pivoting. So select your range, and you're just going to pivot the whole thing, all of the grades. Hit OK. We can add it to the existing sheet or a new sheet. I'm going to do it on a new sheet. And this is going to give us a whole lot of stuff. So here's your rows, columns, values, and filters. Not going to go extensively far into this because this is a rabbit hole. Okay? But I'll show you, they also, thank you Google, suggest some for us. So let's just maybe look through one of the suggestions. I don't know what that is.
What if yours says no suggestions?
Oh, well then they don't know what to tell you. So let's just play around with this. So, okay, let's look at the rows. we're going to get rid of what they threw in there. So let's go to add row, students. Look, it's our students, right? So let's see, I'm going to do a descending. Walt's at the top now, right? So you can filter them, show them different ways if you want. So then let's say, okay, what information do we want out of that gradebook? So how about their overall class averages? Okay, so we say add. It gives us all of these choices. This is why naming our columns are important, because now we know what they are. Total average. And there's our total averages for all of our kids. Now you could take out this show totals thing. It kind of cleans it up, okay? And let's say, okay, that's cool. Let's add our grade, or overall grade. Again, take out that show total thing, cleans it up. Isn't that cool? Now check this out. Filter. We're adding a filter. Any student who got an F. So let's say you have a big spreadsheet, the whole 7th grade, and you're in charge of the PBIS program, and you're in charge of the entire I got way too excited. You're in charge of the entire PBS program for your entire school. And your principal is going to give you a CSV file. I heard it. I was waiting for someone to ask me. A CSV file. Anybody? What is it? Oh. Comma, it stands for, this is old school, comma separated value file. In other words, that is an old school Excel file. So some of these old systems in schools, if you run reports, will spit out a CSV file. And you can open that in Excel. Okay? And so your principal's saying, all right, I want you to show me all of the kids in your school that got an A, B, or a C. Whoops. It's not working. A B or a C. I don't know where my A went, but. And look, you can produce instantly a list of kids with that criteria. And you can put it in order, ascending or descending, alphabetical order. You can put it in by grade. You should, but let me get rid of the average. No, it's not letting me. But in theory, you can. But this is what a pivot table can do for you. The student's name, so that's in a row. So let me take it out. Let me take everything out here. So rows, students. It's the first option because that's my, when I selected my data, I selected all of it, even the titles. Okay. And then ran the pivot table. Where'd it go? And rows, students, and they're all there. You can, again, take out those totals because they're for accountant people. We're not accountants. Okay? Now, Look at all of these names down here. Sheet 3, Sheet 1. If you want to rename them, just right-click, rename. Okay, you can rename them. Okay? Does anybody have any other questions on the magical world of spreadsheets? I am sorry I did that to you. Only a little bit. But I hope you learned something. Excel and spreadsheets are they're wonderful when you know how to use them. And you're going to need to use them, especially on your ATPA. But I'll be around if you ever need me, and hopefully this recorded, okay? Now what's due? I want you to save this, or you can share it with me, your functional gradebook. So if you did it with me, then all you have to do is just share it with me, okay? That's it. Any questions? Next week, we TikTok. We're going to start with green screens, learning how to use green screens if you've not used them before. Then we are going to create educational TikToks. I'm going to show you some examples, and then I'm going to turn you free on the TikToks.
If you don't show us Hank Green, I might be disappointed.
Well, we'll see what I show, and I promise it'll be clean, okay? No dirty language. All right, that's all I have.